All the way back in 2016, I joined the Discord server for a game that was known at the time as Pokemon Metal Malachite. And now, over the long, and I mean long, 8-year development cycle of this game, it is now known as Tales of Tanorio, a completely original creature capturing game coming out for the Roblox platform that you could play alongside hundreds of other people. However, what was originally supposed to be one of the biggest launches for the platform that we've had since Lumion Legacy has now come to be known as essentially a ghost town, a wasteland, or even potentially a game that nobody cares about at all. So, what is the entire point of this video? Well, I'm going to be reviewing every single thing about Tales of Tanorio, all the way from its first update to now, where we're on the third and final gym that was originally supposed to be released with the actual game itself. So, after all three of these updates, and the game just now releasing an update, with it barely having 2k players after the launch of the update, 2 hours after, is just insane. And we have to go ahead here and take a look not only into what the game does wrong, but what the game does extremely positive and why nobody cares about this game, and what could be the future of Tales of Tanorio. So yeah, if you guys really like this video, remember, like and subscribe. It means the world to me, and I can keep making videos just like this one. So yeah, without further ado, let me not waste your time, and let's get right on into it, starting with the story. So, the story of Tales of Tanorio is extremely basic. You're a kid who lives with their mom, who is struggling to pay their bills, so your neighbor, which happens to be the professor's daughter, accompanies you into her father's research program, where you are tasked with collecting data all around this new region and taking on stadium stars, which are the equivalent to Pokemon gym leaders. Along the way, you end up meeting a thief named Endu, who steals a Megastone equivalent, which is known as, I believe, an Order Stone, and you beat him up, and you essentially become rivals. And other than that, there isn't truly that much more that has been introduced in the story. We've met, essentially, I believe, the admin for the evil team equivalent in this game, essentially, but that's really it. Other than that, we've met generic side characters who have done nothing. We've had no personal backstory or attachment to anything else, and it's not very gripping. So the first thing we had to talk about was, why is this story just not gripping? And I think it's genuinely just that. It is a generic, and I mean a generic, monster catching story. The fact that your mom is struggling starts to be interesting until the fact that you realize that, hey, this is essentially a point that is brought up maybe once, twice even within the story, and honestly, what is that supposed to make us feel? We have never met this mother before. Obviously, counting with like she's our mother, you have a natural attachment to her, but other than that, I mean, why? Like, why should I care? Including also the voice direction, but I will bring that up in the next part that we want to talk about that also brings down the story. But overall, it's just the fact of a lot of the problems with Tales comes from, hey, the story is just not appealing. It's very boring, it's very long, it's very extremely long-winded, and the voice direction, which yet again I'm going to bring up in a second, does not help its situation whatsoever. I generally think the thing that's a miss in this game, out of anything, is the fact of what is supposed to make your character be attached to anybody here. What are the issues in the region that are going to make us feel like we're special? I know games are just supposed to be designed in a way to give the player, freedom to be able to go around and just play the game from the first gym all the way to the last one and to make you feel strong as being a champion. But the thing that is really successful, and I'm only going to use Pokemon here as an example because it's easy and that most people who would know. You would also be able to bring up multiple other examples, even things as different in the monster catching genre as Pal World or maybe even Nexomon. I still think Pokemon is the closest that we can get to relating it to, because I feel like that's what this game has tried to strive to be like. And I must say, the difference between a Pokemon game making me care versus this game is simple. One, Pokemon has a cult following. It has a lot of people who have already invested the time into it, so just having that IP alone makes it a lot stronger. But on top of that, the Pokemon games where they succeed the most, especially when it comes into story, I particularly am going to highlight Pokemon Black and White as well as Pokemon Sun and Moon, is the fact that these characters have a long overgrowing arc, such as Lily and the issues that she faces with her mom, or such as in Black and White, how N goes from feeling and having his connections with Pokemon be essentially shattered by the fact that people are using them for battle, and various other things along those lines. They give you a grip, a reason to want to see these other side characters besides the main character, and to want to help them throughout their story. in this game, there is a slight hint to that with Endu, but the thing with Endu is the voice direction and the voice lines are also all over the place that we have zero idea on how to really feel about him. All we know, essentially from meeting him, is that A, he wanted to be a trainer, which makes sense. Everybody wants to be a trainer. They're in this world. And 2, he essentially just wants to be able to be a extremely good star, you know, a very high powerful trainer. And that's it. How are we supposed to feel about that? Everybody wants that. It's not a new story. It's not anything different. He wants to change what he was to be basic, to be like everybody else. And that's why I just feel like his story is not enough to grip me. So what about the professor's daughter? Well, she's helping her dad out with research. That's very basic. It's very similar to May in Pokemon as well. So how does that make anything different? It doesn't. It's the exact same. So you see what I'm saying? Out of the main 3 people who we're supposed to have a major attachment to, already 3 of them are extremely bland. And then everyone else just comes into the story and essentially doesn't do much. They show up, they talk for a couple lines, and then disappear. You see what I'm saying? I generally think the point is that Tales truly missed gripping the player with an experience. It gave you something that you looked at and you said, well, I've done this before in Pokemon, but never actually decided to look into the reasons why people cared about it when it was with Pokemon compared to Tales of Tanorio, which is now going to go over into my second part of this kind of story meeting, and that's going to be the voice acting. Now, the voice acting is simply all over the place. This game desperately, and I mean desperately, needs a voice director. Voice emotions jump all over the place in dialogue, as well as also with the volume mixing being all over the place.
Well, look what the poor lady dragged in. Welcome, uninvited guest. And might I say, your fashion sense is rather lacking.
If it isn't the rookie. Did you come all this way searching for me? Going solo in these waters ain't the smartest move. I'd be in my stadium right now, but someone here thinks she's too cool for rules. This jerk's been poking around the ship and waking up every ghost Tanorian she comes across. She's throwing off the balance of the whole ecosystem.
Some voices are way too quiet, while others are way too loud, and they never give off exact emotions. Now, due to the way how the cutscenes are actually animated, sometimes you can actually sort of tell what the emotion is, but the voice direction is just so all over the place that it makes it so difficult to really care. And as well as also having the dialogue be linked to the voice direction, so when somebody's actually talking, you cannot skip lines until they are finished talking, is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. When somebody is talking in a game, I should be able to click, have the dialogue actually go off the screen, and their voice lines continue. It shouldn't be we start with this voice recording, then we stop, then we start with the next one, and it's unskippable. And the only way for that to be skippable is for me to turn off the voice acting. Those are just 2 things that just make no sense to me on why that is a thing. And it's like, yes, they did, fortunately enough, add a skip to the story cutscenes later on, but I don't think skipping all of the content is what you really want people doing. I think you just need to make it more applicable for more general audiences to be able to actually see. So I genuinely think that the game is just a terrible example of using the voice acting feature in games. We see it all the time in AAA games, whether it be games like Ghost of Tsushima, or we think about it in, games such as even Dragon Ball Sparking Zero coming through, right? We have so many different genres and varieties of games that come with voice acting. This one just does not do it well. And so, just hear a little intermission from me personally. Hey, Tales team, sign me on as the voice director. I will make sure that these people actually deliver the lines you want. That's a little self-promo for me, but hey, we gotta say it right. So I do have to say, the voice acting being all over the place does not help the story at all, and it definitely needs to be fixed, which is going to also lead into the next thing, which is going to be the cutscenes, where I'm pretty positive that these are actually probably one of the best parts of the game. So, the cutscenes are the best part of this game without a shadow of a doubt. The character animations, as well as just the player cinematography, is extremely good. The way how they want you to look at environments, and the way how they want you to like kind of feel like, hey, you know, this is actually a real and explorable world in a region, is really well done. I think the region layout is very good, and I think a lot of the way how a lot of things are set up throughout the cutscenes, especially when it comes to a lot of the major moments that we've seen so far, which haven't been too many, kind of in fact there's only 3 current stadiums, is really solid. And I just had to say, I really do have to say, yo, B or whoever else actually did work on the cutscenes, big shout outs to you, because without them this game would be atrocious. These cutscenes are the best part of it easily. It's just the fact that the voice acting and the story is so bland and all over the place that it brings it down marginally, which is going to come into another thing that I also want to talk about, which is the world design. Now, the world design is leveled with amazing visuals, but yet again, it does lack substance. And you guys might be saying, what do you mean it lacks substance if it has amazing visuals? Well, I mean, there's really no real reason to actually go explore. This is another thing that I find that's very telling. And essentially, if you want to go find new areas, the only thing you get for looking through any areas in depth is finding new mods. And there are areas that hint towards secrets that they're not currently implemented, such as in, I believe it's Cayenne Cannon. Underneath one of the hard little edge rocks, I'll try to put it in the background so you guys can see it, there's supposed to be this huge stone door with like a red little symbol on it, I believe. And it's obviously hinted at, hey, this is supposed to be a secret, but this secret isn't implemented yet. But how is that supposed to help the player? It's like, yes, this is left here because, you know, it's supposed to feel natural. Everyone knows there's going to be a secret there, but it's not implemented, so it just feels empty, right? And because when you finally do add something to that area, it's going to be like, well, it was already expected. It's not shocking the player. It's not adding anything to the play value. And I feel like that they do that within the world design a lot, as well as also with the bugs. The bugs cause so many world-breaking glitches, such as one that I'll hopefully be showing on screen, where I was swimming in the depths of Makoto, and I ended up passing through the barrier and going through a wall, which, yet again, we're going to be talking about the bugs in just 1 second, but I really do want to preference that with these, it just makes everything feel so lifeless, so like we're in a shell. And that's the difference, because when the world design is great, when you show off the lighting textures, you show off the different verticality, because the game has amazing verticality. I love how vertically you can climb up things such as ledges and cliffs, or how, you know, we can even go up, you know, a lot of steep things, and you go down occasionally. Like, I really love the way how exploration is handled from a design aspect on the outside, but when it comes to actually exploration itself and having a purpose for it, there is none, including also the fact that most towns do not have any inside interiors, and even some were extremely, and I mean extremely, rushed. You can even head to the Grapevine Yard in Makoto City, and you can walk inside the buildings there, and there's nothing. There's nothing inside of it. And even if you go to Makoto City, there's a bunch of doors and a bunch of things that are supposed to be buildings. You can see what it's like, and there's no interiors, right? There's barely any civilians that do anything. You talk to them, they don't give you anything. It gives you no incentive whatsoever to explore. And I just feel like that is such a disappointment, and such an underwhelming case and cause. You know, it's just not great. The world design is there. I could see it being there, but it needs even more effort than it has right now. Which is going to come into probably one of the last 2 things I'm going to be talking about, and that's going to be the bugs. Now, the bugs in this game are atrocious, and is the real reason why nobody cares or nobody is going to be playing this game in the long run. Every single update we get comes with 15 to 20 game-breaking bugs, and they've said yet again over and over again, we've tested it, we have testers, we have things, and it never happens. It always feels like whenever we get a new launch, the game is buggier than it was beforehand. And with them coming out with things such as trading and coming out with things such as battling, I can't see it going well. I cannot see that going well. I will not be surprised if there's dupe glitches, or if you permanently lose a trade, or if things break. It just happens with every single update. It happened with Makoto, even after we've told them time and time again, add more testers, get more people in there. content creators will be testers. It doesn't matter what we need to do. They say, oh, it's not existent in the game, and Roblox breaks it. Well, then what are we gonna do when Roblox breaks it every single time? It's like the code is held together by literal duct tape and essentially the grief of life and nothing else. I just have to say that it's so bad. With every single update, the bugs get worse and worse and worse, and people just keep getting soft locked. And I wish I could tell players that for the future it's not going to happen. They have said that eventually they're going to be shutting down the servers for 1 to 2 hours to figure out bugs as soon as they launch an update, but can I still trust them to be able to do it? No, I simply can't. And that's mostly just due to the fact that these bugs, if they were small, if they were minor, if they could just, oh, it happens maybe once every blue moon. I play with a group of friends. I play with up to 2 people, which is my main boy Chester and my main boy Justin. All of us play the update at the same time, and we each run into 50 bugs collectively each. It's just that I have the patience to be able to sit there, and as long as it's not a soft locking glitch, I had the patience to sit there through the entire update and be able to play it. But most Roblox players, including my friends, are not going to be sitting there and doing that for the entire game. They're just not. And I feel like this is the biggest issue, because even after we released the first thing, we released the fossils patch as well, where they came out where they released fossils and everything else, more and more bugs just keep coming up. It keeps coming up. And it's not causing enough stir. Simply enough, I also believe the devs tried to blame not only these bugs, but they tried to blame essentially the community for the fact of, oh, monster catching games are made to fail for the platform, and I don't think that's true. I think it's shown throughout Lumion Legacy's entire thing. If they come up with a new update, they get back 10k players. I genuinely think it is because of these bugs, and I just do not get why. I feel like they're willing to take the acceptance of, hey, these bugs are there, but they're not willing to accept the fact that these bugs are the reason why nobody is playing this game, because it was hyped up to be this flawless, this perfect, this clean game, and it simply isn't. And I feel like that's the biggest issue that Tales has going forward, is the bugs. But I did say there was one other thing, and that one other thing that I want to talk about is going to 100% be the essentially just the content. After you kind of get through, obviously doing everything you can in the game, you look at all the content creators and the people who are available within the game, and genuinely, if you look at it as a whole, nobody is interested in seeing content on this game. And with nobody being able to see interest on content within the game, how are we supposed to be able to create interesting content? It's like there is no features so far that are multiplayer respective that are going to be very big. Even when trading and PvP comes out, that only a couple hundred people are going to want to truly watch content on this game. It is so heartfelt to me, the fact that this game has all these content creators who put effort into making content in the game, and then you look at the view duration of it, and most of it is just absolutely pitiful. It's absolutely garbage. And honestly, with the game having Lucky HD as a community manager, I think that is a great thing that he's trying, but he's not trying hard enough. I'm just going to be real. It's unfortunate, but I do feel as though maybe as a community we should be pushing for more. We should be pushing our game to get up there. We should be pushing for more people to be interested. And I feel like genuinely the team has given up. I feel like they've given up, and they're giving us basic content that's expected, instead of trying to go further, trying to go beyond. And it's like I generally don't believe the mon designs of themselves are the issue, because I think some of the best things about Tales of Tanorio is its creatures designs. I think a lot of them are extremely good, including a lot of the ones that were just added in the newest update, because we even got some new ones on top of the ones that we already knew were coming. And genuinely, they're really fantastic. I don't think a single person can look at these creatures and say these are extremely ugly and these are not appealing to people. I just feel as though the dev team hasn't tried to go beyond. They haven't tried to grip players. They haven't tried to give people a reason to get back into the game besides the game is just coming out. And that's genuinely why I just have to say, genuinely to me, the game is exceptional, because even gameplay wise, I could just compare it to a generic Pokemon or a generic monster catching game. There's nothing wrong with the game gameplay wise. Now yet again, at launch they had some questionable features, such as not having a summary screen of the PC and some other things that were along that line, but all out of those are quality of life updates that can easily be fixed, and they've been fixing them, such as these skipping cutscenes. As soon as people said, hey, we don't care about these cutscenes, let's skip them, they added it right away. So I have to give them the props on that, because they added it extremely quickly. But overall, what does it truly add to the game if the dev team is just adding, hey, let's add a new stadium, let's throw in a small bit of story stuff that we know nobody's going to care about because we have no attachment to these characters yet, and it's a brand new world. And I just don't know. I don't feel like they're trying to grip the player. I feel like the end of the Makoto City update is where they tried to grip the player into really caring, but overall it still wasn't enough to make me care. And with the voice direction being all over the place, yet again, it's just some voice actors are great, and I don't want to blame the voice actors, because I don't think the voice actors are the reason this is bad. It's simply the voice direction. But it's just all over the place, and genuinely, for me playing Tales, I think Tales is about a 6.5 out of 10 of a game. I genuinely do. I feel like it's a 6.5. Would I recommend it to new people who are interested in the genre to play? Yeah, I would say give it a try. If you think it's going to be interesting and it's going to be, you know, a good enough amount for you to play, there is a few hours of gameplay there, which I have to say, even in the Makoto City update, me after having a PvP team and everything else, it still took me about an hour and 30 minutes to get through the Makoto City update in its entirety. And while I think that is standard for most creature capturing games, for how long it took the game to actually release, I don't know if in the future it's going to be one of the greatest things that we can ever see. But yeah, other than that, you know, besides that and the crazy kind of aspects that the community has going on, that is going to be my review of Tales of Tanorio. I think the game is a 6.5 out of 10. I think if you enjoy creature capturing games, you're going to really enjoy the game. But you're not going to love the game. Just because you enjoy the game doesn't mean you're going to love the game. And I think that's the difference, is it's a game that you could play if you have nothing else to do, if you're bored, and if you like the genre. But if you want a game where it's going to truly succeed, truly go beyond, truly grip you, and be a game that you actually love, I don't think you're going to find that here. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think down in the comment section below. And as well, I'm going to be having a bunch of other discussions. We'll hopefully have a follow-up video for a Q&A. This is probably going to be my last big Tales of Tanorio video until the next actual major update, as well as PvP, obviously, because I'm very excited for PvP. But yeah, hopefully y'all really enjoyed my Tales of Tanorio content so far, and hopefully you guys look forward to hopefully a brighter future for this game, because for right now, it's just not it. But yeah, hopefully y'all really enjoyed the video, and hopefully I get to see you guys on the next one. Peace.